everyone. Welcome to the Ask Me Anything live day 2. I am Stacy Casson, also known as the Clarity Concierge. For those of you who see me, I am a very tan woman. I'm wearing clear glasses. I have in a white flower in my dark, short, wavy hair. I am wearing a black tank top, and behind me is a red background. So I'm really excited to have you all here on today's Ask Me Anything Live. And before we get started, I would just like to take a moment for us to arrive. So join me and take a deep breath in and exhale. Deep breath in and exhale. And a deep breath in and exhale. So the first thing we're going to do, as promised, is pull the daily Pokemon card. And so how I think about Pokemon card is just what should I maybe pay attention to or notice as I go about my day. And wow, once again, the Psychic Energy Pokemon card. For those of you who can't see it, it is a purple card. It has a glowing purple sphere and inside stylized eye. So today's doesn't have the whoosh. And for me, this is just reminding me about being present. Every morning I do some journaling. And what has come up a lot is being present and how easy it is to go on autopilot. Like literally, I wrote in my journal that I'm going to in and I'm going to notice when I get out of bed. And I was all to the point that I listened to the sound the pen was making when I was writing. And then all of a sudden, I was in the bathroom getting ready to shower and I didn't know how I got there. So it is a practice to be present. So I hope you all will be present here to me and trust the process. Let's have some fun together. So, for my lone viewer, thank you so much for joining. Please have your question. Yeah, that's okay, no problem. Thank you for joining my stream. And yes, I'll catch you on the replay. You can post your question and I will come back to it on the replay. So, have an awesome day, Perkins. Thank you so much for joining. And I'm going to be here for an hour, like I promised, because it's a promise to myself. I hope you have a wonderful day and thanks for stopping by. Yeah, leave, go. See, I'm getting rid of my audience because I need them to do the best thing. Thank you. I'm going to have fun today. I am going to have fun today. So, a lot of questions that seem to keep coming up for people are how to overcome their mindset or mentality. And I'm not going to answer that one today because I want to have people actually ask the question. So today I was going to think about a question that I always answer in jest, and that is, what is the meaning of life? And I'm always going to say 42 because Hitchhiker's Guide, Ride or Die. So instead of asking, what is the meaning of life? Today I will ask, how do we create a life that has meaning? How do we create a life that has more meaning? And so, as always, I pull, well, it's not always, but this is what we're going to go with today. The first question I'm going to ask myself, well, what is unclear about my life right now? And we got the Pokemon Fighting Energy card. It's a fist against a glowing pool of lava, and the energy cards are about fighting. And so, what comes to mind for me is a meaningful life is that I am fighting for something that makes a difference. I'm fighting for something that makes an impact. For me, it's fighting against injustice, fighting against the power center, fighting against white supremacy, ableism, sexism, any kind of discrimination in any form, fighting for human beings, and fighting to make the world better than I what I got, fighting for a better world for children to be able to grow up and play, a world where we embrace and allow everyone to be part of the design. I was listening to a TED talk, and when you allow children to be part of the design, it really makes the place more equitable. There's more green spaces, and the things that affect children impact people sometimes with disabilities and elderly people. Children don't drive. Children need their rest. They enjoy nature. They like green space. They don't have the ability to travel great distances to enjoy those things. So when children are involved in the process, you create a more equitable space naturally. So to create a more meaningful life, you need to have something to fight for. So then is the challenge there, and we get the urn of vitality. This is an urn, and it has like a glowing fire thing under it, and these are cards to help the Pokemon in their game to train. But when I'm thinking about an urn of vitality, I'm thinking about how we have a limited span in this mortal world. I don't know what happens when we leave this world, but when we're on this world, we have a finite amount of what we can do. We have a finite amount of years to live. So when I'm thinking about energy and vitality, important when we're trying to think about how to have a meaningful life, how are we going to pour into our buckets and what are we going to pour out? Because every time you expend energy, matter can, what is it, the science? Matter cannot be destroyed or created, it's conserved. So we are using and putting into the world the same amount of energy. So it kind of depends on where we're going to spend it and how it comes back to us. So I'm thinking about in making a more meaningful life is to doing things that replenish that vitality while also can make a difference. So it's a balancing act in creating a more meaningful life. So then what can help? What can help us with this idea of creating a more meaningful life? And you get a Pokemon card holder, so that's not a real card. You get water energy. And I think that this is a blue card with a blue glowing sphere and a stylized teardrop. And I think about water as something healing, but it's also necessary for life. And when we about the world we have, we may not have it for much longer when we're looking at the impact of climate change. And even though in the picture it's supposed to be a water droplet for water energy, it can also, I'm going to show it again. I'm trying to get this out. It can also remind me of like a tadpole, something with potential, something where we're planting and creating something new. That is kind of what's coming to mind for me is creating something new, something healing. So how to have a full life, especially in the context of what this month is can I be a part of the healing that we all need to go forward as a people, as a global society in this world? So what are things that are healing? And also water is some, I think about going beneath the surface, reaching deeper, tapping into maybe not what is considered logical, because we as humans don't make all of our decisions based on logic. If you're hungry, if you're tired, if you are in a strong, like you're not in your high executive functioning state, the impacts, the decisions, and the energy that you have to put out into the world. So, making a meaningful life is also about bringing healing into the work that you're doing. Well, that's what it means to me. You might have a complete different take, and that's okay. That's why I love these conversations. So, then what's a way forward? And we get this is a dark energy card. I really hate the word dark energy, but think about this as what are the system and influences that lie beneath the surface that shape our world. Things like gravity, that's a system that impacts how the world moves. You don't see it, but it causes the tides to roll in and out. It causes things to drop. If I drop food, it falls, and that's due to gravity. We don't see the force of that happening, but those are the unseen forces. When we're talking about creating a meaningful life and we're fighting, perhaps the next step is to investigate what are those systems out there that we're fighting against, really understanding what is the problem that we're trying to solve. I know I talked about that yesterday, but it's important to understand what we actually are fighting against, because there's a lot of distractions out there. They throw up crisis after crisis to keep us scared, to keep us in fear and distracted from what could actually be happening. Or sometimes you see media of ridiculous, well, I think it's ridiculous, but a pizza rat or whoever's dating who in the biggest scheme of things. And we're not asking the questions as to why are we doing this, who's benefiting from this. So, together, when I think about how to create a more meaningful life, it is to find a cause that brings about healing and reparation, that dismantles the systems of oppression that we all need to protect this one wild and precious life that we have. So that is how this can work in helping people whittle down and get clear about the things that they're trying to figure out. I keep touching this button and moving everything away. So nobody's joined yet, and that's totally fine. I'm thinking about some of the questions that people have asked me in the past, and I'll look into some of those while we wait, because I'm hoping that we'll have people. I'm not supposed to hope the people will come, and maybe the people is me, because when I go through this process, even if I'm working with somebody, what's really beautiful is both of us get new insights and appreciations and perspectives. So that is really what I love about working with other people. It is the co-creative process. I'm going to have some water. Okay. So another thing that I think a lot of people go through is burnout, right? It's burnout. And a thing that I like to think about is, in where I work, we have a continuous improvement process called 5S. And that is an organizational principle, but I find it's also really effective for organizing your mind. So the first S is to sort. And generally, people write it down on a piece of paper, but even that sometimes can be overwhelming because you don't know why you're overwhelmed. So I like to use Pokemon cards and other visual tools to kind of hone down the categories. So when I'm thinking about sort, we get the Fairy Energy Pokemon card. This is a pink card with a glowing pink comet sphere. So we get the extra whoosh, it's spicy today. And then there's like a stylized, excuse me, the petals are shaped like hands, and the center is kind of like a little star. So, when we're thinking about being overwhelmed, what are the things that are preventing us from healing? What are the things that are taking the joy away from our life? And write all that. Could be your to do list, it could be all the tasks that you're thinking about. So, you get that down, you write it all down, and then you sort through it. And your criteria could be what's bringing me healing, what's bringing me joy, and what's not. And sometimes you'll get a task that's not so joyful, but when you picture, then if I do this, I will have a happier life, or I will get something accomplished. Those are the things like maybe doing your taxes, or organizing that junk drawer, or going through your clothes closet, and you might discover some cool things in there, or updating your resume. Those aren't fun, but those are a necessary step to get forward. So you can kind of use that criteria. Will this bring magic into my life? Will this make me happy? Will this help me to heal? So you sort. The next step in 5Sing your mind is to set in order. And for that one, ooh, we get a Litten. This is a kitten with kind of a fiery red face and accent marks, and it's against a really sparkly, pretty background. And when I think about cats, that is the opposite of order. It is the exact opposite of order. So I think about how to cat proof your life and your tasks, how to the best of your abilities, put into place things that will help fight against that chaos that tends to come into our spaces, right? You want it, like when you see a cat, cats don't do what you want them to do. They do what they want to do, and it's kind of similar in our lives. Like our brains, I think, works like cats. You think like, I really want to do. We had another question yesterday about that, but cats will respond to treats. Cats will respond to shaking things up, moving things around. So when you're setting in order, this is where you design your life to work with your proclivities versus against it. If you're somebody that likes to immediately brush your teeth when you wake up, then you can piggyback, okay, I'm going to brush my teeth and do some squats, or I'm going to have a book right next to me so I can journal the moment I wake up, because when I wake up, I do what comes to mind. So when I think about, I'm thinking about, it's an energy card. So when we're thinking about how to sort our lives and set it in order, you do things from the perspective of where do you have the most energy, where do you have the least energy. And several amazing coaches that I work with, as Mark Hasman, Walla, they talk about having a plan A and a plan B, and maybe even a plan C for your high energy days and your low energy days. So when you're setting your overwhelming order, you can also think about, when do you have the most energy? When are you most effective at doing things? And kind of schedule those activities on your to-do list when you have that kind of energy. So the next step is shine. And that one, we get Ninja Boy. Ninja Boy is a little boy that's dressed like a ninja, but he has a red scarf, which kind of anti-ninja. But these Pokemon characters, they hide in the woods and they come out and attack you. So when we're thinking about shine, I'm thinking about uncovering all those hidden booby traps that come into play, the things that want to dismantle you and make you not successful. So when we're shining, this is usually you'd make a checklist so you don't miss anything. In the physical space, this is when you would literally clean the space to make it effective. But in your mental space, this is when you can set things up on your calendar, maybe consider some recurring events for the things to do continually until it becomes second nature to you. But it's also when you have that plan A and plan B to help when those ninja boys come into your life. So that is our shine part of it. The next thing is standardize. If you always have a certain task to do and you get it on a calendar and you do it the same way, that helps. So we got our friend Skiddo again. Skiddo is a goat who is hanging out in the forest. Skiddo has a mane of leaves. And Skiddo looks like he literally just skidded into place, he or she. It skidded into place, and it's amongst some fallen trees. The sky is gray. The trees are chopped off. So it's coming to a halt. And it is also a grass Pokemon. So this is when we're talking about nurturing. So the standardization, this is something that if you do it the same every time, that does help you to spend less time thinking about it. Like if you want to make an omelet, you can recipe, right? If you try to make it from scratch, you can do that. Most things you can do from scratch, but it helps to have guidelines and instructions. You're less likely to overthink things if you have a standard way of doing something. This is where the power of routines can come in if you're somebody that benefits from routines, somebody that benefits from loose guidelines. Some people don't like routines, they fight against it. I'm a person that like routines, but they're also kind of a loose guideline. So for example, if you're overwhelmed because you want to do more physical activity because you feel that your body is stiff or something like that, then you set up a routine. When I get up, I'm going to do this. And then next, I'm going to do this. And you have a routine, so it kind of auto populates for you what you need to do to be successful. It reduces the amount of energy that it takes because you're not thinking about the steps. You can just follow along and standardize that, which can be nourishing and help to keep you grounded and calm when you're overwhelmed. It's also important to build in those moments to help you not be overwhelmed. When I'm in the workplace, I don't just jump in going. It doesn't matter how busy I am or even if I'm late. I always take a moment to arrive and think about, what is it that I'm trying to accomplish today? What is my next best step? And after I finish something on a really good day, I will also pause and reflect that, okay, I did it, yay me. And then think about, okay, what do I want to do next? And sometimes what I want to do next is I'm going to get some water. I'm going to stay hydrated, which is what I'm going to do right now. And I'm appreciating what a privilege it is that I can get anytime I want. I have access to clean water, and there's people around me that don't, and that's by design. And that can be overwhelming, but right, we're going to create a meaningful life and fight in the ways that we can to make a difference. So when we're on the standardized, that is where the power of routine comes into play. And finally, last S is sustain. This is a metal energy Pokemon card. It is a gray to steel colored card with a shiny steel sphere in the middle. It has an inverted black triangle and little brackets around the triangle. And what is awesome about steel, steel is very strong and it's very flexible. Steel is something that can withstand windstorms. Steel is something that can help protect you. It's not impervious to damage, but it can withstand a lot of things. So sustain when you check in. Are these routines working? Are my goals the same? Is there something that is out of order? Has the priorities changed? Do I have all the things that I need to be successful? If you're trying to organize a physical space, it might mean I need to get certain containers because I can't see if I just use a box, or I need to transport things and the containers I have aren't fragile enough. I mean, aren't strong enough. So that's how organization can work in a physical space. Or I have certain objects and they they might need a special hook or something like that to fit better. So it's the same thing in your life. You kind of have your checklist, and the sustain part is, are you following the checklist? Are these routines working for you? What possibly needs to be changed or adjusted? And that is how you to combat overwhelm. So that's another way that I like to use the wisdom of Pokemon. And for those of you that are overwhelmed, I hope that can help you in your situation. All right, we are almost halfway through this stream, and I'm learning a lot about myself. And I don't want to hope, when the people that watch the replay, hi team replay, watch this, that they will get some insightful activities and insights that will help them in their own journey. So I'll tell you a little bit about how I became the Clarity Concierge, since I don't have any questions coming into the stream. I've always been somebody that people just come up and talk to. They always tell me, wow, I never expected to tell you that. And I'm not going to tell you what they said, because what happens with me stays with me. But how I've always been in life, my friends always came to me for advice. And I never really gave advice. I just listened to them, and a lot of times they came to their own conclusions. So I took a risk because another friend, I really do things with friends, was like, "I'm starting a business. You should start your business too." So I said, "Okay." So I started a business, and it's called Things to Think About, and it was really floundering. It's still trying to kind of find its way. And I realized it's because I didn't understand exactly what I did. I did too many things. Like, I can help you with this, and I can help you with that. And as Yinka says, the confused mind, no. So I found this really cool clarity reading, and I called up my friend Danique. I was like, "Hey, do you want to play?" And Danique's always down for play. So we played together and tried out this. It was like an 8 card spread. And when we were done, she decided to go a completely different way in her business. And I got the inspiration to become the Clarity Concierge. Welcome, welcome to the live stream, whoever has joined. I can't see that until you type something in the comments. So again, for if you're unfamiliar with this Ask Me Almost Anything live stream, this is you can ask your questions, and I'm going to pull some Pokemon cards to have fun and to trick our brains into thinking about the solutions in creative ways. So if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the comments. What I've been talking about is how I became a Clarity Concierge and why I'm so passionate about the power of intuition and using intuitive tools. So I had done a 8 card spread with my girlfriend, and she again went a completely different way with her business, and I came away with what I really help people with is getting clear about what they do. I help people just cut down the heart of the matter. So if you have any questions at all, please feel free to put them in the chat, and I am happy to answer them to the best of my abilities. And if you ever are like, "Okay, this is kind of cool," and you'd like to join me live, I can send you an invite link. Tomorrow's stream starts at 6 a.m. The streams are all over the place, but I can't be consistent on a day to day basis because life isn't consistent on a day to day basis. So, we just talked about how to battle overwhelm, and you can catch that in the replay. But for my person that's joined, please put your question in the comment. You can ask me anything. You can even ask me, well, yesterday I answered what ice cream I like, and it's dark chocolate cookies and cream. If you feel like sending me some ice cream, but that's not going to mail very well, so you don't have to worry about that. I also love jerk chocolate. There's a local black company. Well, they're not local, they're based out of New York. I don't remember the city. They're near Mount Vernon, but they make jerk chocolates. It's called Threesome Chocolate, and they have all these other flavors. But if you need to get your chocolate on and you want to support a Black owned business during Black History Month, I recommend Threesome Chocolate. Very yummy, very tasty. So if you don't have any questions, you can listen to me continue on. I've been responding to questions that I have received in the past. So some questions that people ask is, should I do this or should I do that? And I really don't think you get as much answers from binary questions. Like earlier, I talked about what is the meaning of life versus how do I create a life with more meaning. So I think the questions that we ask ourselves help to change the outcomes. So if you don't even know what question you want to ask, I'm going to go through what's called Tea Grow that hopefully might help you get an idea of a topic or spark an interest into something that is of interest to you. So thank you for joining. And if you can't stay, you can be part of Team Replay. Just put in the comments hashtag Team Replay. So we're going to pull a card for big. And we get the Tower of Darkness. Again, I really don't like things that associate darkness with negativity. So this, in the Pokemon world, this tower is a training center to train this bear Pokemon. I really don't remember the bear Pokemon's name, but the whole thing, the whole reason of this tower is to train somebody. So maybe we're thinking about, is there an area in my life that I need to embrace learning more I need to maybe go back to school, if that could be something that people are thinking about, or I need to learn a different trade in order to grow. And again, there are systems at play. I instead of using darkness as something negative, I prefer to think of it as a system or unseen influence like gravity. If you don't see but it has a pull, it impacts the tide, it comes in and out. Welcome to this live stream again. If you have questions, just put them in the comments. I'm going through cards for people that don't know what questions they want to ask. So right now we pulled the Pokemon Tower of Darkness, and this is a card that I think it's about, and maybe you're trying to get back into the job force, or you're trying to change careers, or maybe you're trying to think about what's my major, what do I want to major in, what do I need to learn. So that could be something that's of interest to you. And then the next question we ask ourselves, well, then goal. And this one, we get a Pokemon Center lady. I've actually never seen her before. So for those of you that can't see it, this is a lady dressed in a nurse uniform. She has red hair and she's wearing like a pink and white nurse uniform. And she is assisting a little girl uh, who is handing over a stuffed toy. So perhaps when we're thinking about going back to school or getting training, it's, well, how do I help people, or how do I nurture my inner child? What was it that I wanted to be when I grew up, when and I never did, either due to fear or something else. I also think about who can help me, because the Pokemon Center lady is somebody that's healing and helpful. So when you're trying to make a change in your life, who can help you to heal? When I was growing up, I wanted to be a doctor, or I thought I wanted to be a doctor, and that is because I played a brain surgeon video game and I aced it. So obviously, I should be a doctor. And I didn't get sick when I was dissecting the frog. So obviously, I should be a doctor. And I was a pre med major. I went to school, I was doing biology and things really cool. And then my grandmother got sick, and I realized I really don't like sick people. I don't like being around sick people. I have no business being a doctor. Even though I could be technically proficient, there is absolutely a kindness and compassion, which I am. It's not kind and compassionate around pus and just really gross things. So I was like, I'm not going to be a doctor. And I changed my major to liberal studies. Everyone calls it the "do you want fries with that?" But I honestly think for me, it was a major on learning how to learn. But I think with the work that I do now, I don't call myself a doctor, but I definitely think that helping people to get clear, holding space for people is a type of healing. So I don't think I've strayed that far from it. So when you're thinking about what's your goals, maybe it's reinventing the person you thought you wanted to be and adapting it to the person who you are. So that's another thing that you could think about as you're considering your questions. And if you're liking this, then cool. So then the next thing would be opportunities. Or no, sorry, the next one is realities. So this is the fighting energy card. It is a orange, like a deep orange card, and it has a black fist, and the fist is in a glowing orange sphere. So hang on one second. Can you fluff that? Thank you. I'm a real person living life. So when we're thinking about the reality is, are you ready to maybe go back to school? What are the potential obstacles there? What are you resisting? It could be financial. It could be not even knowing what to go back to school for, or again, not being clear on what the trade is that you want to do. If you're thinking about, I want to switch careers, but you don't know where to start, maybe it's, well, start exploring what options are available to you, what skills are transferable. If you're a student and you're trying to think of a major, again, you can reflect on, how do you want to help? Or what inspired you as a child? What was interesting to you? And how can you translate that into a career? So the reality is it's not as easy as I'm just going to go do this and go back to school and everything will be amazing. So it's being very clear about what can you accomplish. Going back to school is a financial commitment. Are there scholarships or grants that you can get? Is it going to be worth that return on investment? And again, if you're not clear about what you want to do, you don't have the financial wherewithal to just be curious and explore, then you really need to sit with yourself and think about what that new life looks like for you. So welcome to those that just joined. Again, you can put your question in the comments. So we're exploring a technique called Tigro, and we're thinking about, well, what do I want to do? And I have no idea. So we're looking into maybe reading and going back to school. So then it's thinking about, well, what are my opportunities for moving forward? And this is Stuffle. Stuffle is an adorable little teddy bear. It's in the grass in the forest, and it's looking up at the sky. So I think when we're unsure about what to do next, and this is a normal Pokemon, it's taking that moment to pause, taking that moment to ground yourself and come from a place of clarity and not fear. I keep mentioning Yinka because she's probably her life show wrapped up, but she said something really profound. She posted about not wanting to change from a place of desperation because it really limits your choices. So when you're thinking about trying to change and transition, and yes, absolutely, sometimes you have no choice but to change. But if it's at all possible, find your happy place, find a quiet place that you can sit with yourself and really get clear about what your next steps forward are when you're trying to make a change. Again, reflect on who can help you when we're talking about the Pokemon Center lady. Who can help you? What resources do you have to go ahead and affect the change you want to see in your life? And please don't be shy. I don't know well, no, I will see your name when you comment, but I won't mention it. So you can ask any questions. There's no dumb questions. And finally, hang on one second. Yes, it's you. Okay. Bye. Okay. Thank you. Fluff the thing. Okay. Sorry. Real human doing real things. Last one is the Eevee. These are really common in Pokemon Go. So the Eevee is a little fox dog like creature that is on an idyllic hill, and they're looking out into the horizon. And I actually get really excited about this card because the Eevee's special skills are continuous steps. So this is moving forward. So when you're thinking about what do I want to do, what change do I want to make, one of the continuous steps that you can do, your first step might just be to research. It might be to research what options are available to you. Perhaps you can consider one of those aptitude tests, or again, do some journaling to think about, well, what is it that makes me happy? Do I feel that I'm putting my energy to good use? And that can also help you on your journey to think about what new things you're trying to accomplish if you're really trying to make a change. So I hope that helps for those of you that are listening in and those of you that are team we just discussed how to make a decision or change when you're really unsure what it is that you are trying to accomplish. And we are over halfway there. Really excited to have you all here. So, again, thanks for the two of you that are hanging out right now. And thanks to everybody watching on play. I'm really serious that if you have a question, this is Ask Me Almost Anything. You can ask me anything, but some things I'm not going to have an answer for you. Again, I'm not a fortune teller. I don't use intuitive tools to tell the future. I use intuitive tools to help people create the future that they want. My future is hydration. So if you're watching right now and you haven't had something to drink, please get some water or some tea or some juice, just something, and get yourself hydrated. It's really important. That's why I look so good. I drink a lot of water. So some other questions that I get sometimes are, will I meet that person? And again, I'm not a fortune teller, so I can't tell you that. But what you can maybe consider is how to put myself in a better position to get connected to the people that I want in my life. Or you could even start with, what is the kind of person that I want in my life? But we'll take it from getting connected to people that you want in your life, whether it be romantic or for business reasons or something else. To the live stream again, you can put your questions in the comment. So right now I'm talking about, how do I put myself in a better position to get connected, whether it be romantic or for business purposes. So the first question we'd ask ourselves, wow, is what's happening right now? And once again, I get the Tower of Dark. Someone I know has faced a decision of what to do next. Continue post-secondary education, take some time off and work, consider a trade. Not an easy time. Yeah, I just answered that one, Christian, in the replay, and we were basically talking about exploring the options. What When they think about what to do next, I was thinking about what makes them happy, what made them happy in the past, what are the resources that they have. And yeah, there's definitely the realities of, can you afford to take time off? I know, like where I live, there's scholarships for the trade school, and that definitely brings with it its own unique set of challenges, because sometimes you still have to work and go to school, but it's not impossible. And perhaps thinking about, well, how long would I have to do this? And again, who can help me in this journey? One of the cards that was there when I was answering that question was the Pokemon Center lady. So here she is, a lady in a nurse uniform helping a little girl. But it doesn't have to be a woman. Women are not the only people that can help you. Just think about in general, who in your life can help you. And when you think of what to do next, it is important to realize, what resources do we have? What resources can we go out and get? What are the pros and cons and advantages? And also just thinking about, what does my new life look like? So they can maybe think about, okay, I want to go and get post-secondary education. What does that mean for me? In that industry, does having a degree help you or hurt you? Does that degree, what will that help to increase your chances of getting hired? Will that increase your chances of getting paid? Taking some time off, that you might not be able to take a, I don't know, a 6-month hiatus to yourself, but can you find 6 minutes every day to sit and journal? Can you find 6 hours on a weekend or something like that to do an hour of power? I know 6 and 1 doesn't make sense, but if you can carve out some of those times, even if you're sitting on the toilet, like you can think and do things at the same time. So it's definitely not an easy time, but I think a lot of the times what is challenging is people don't have a vision of the change that they want to see. I really love, I don't have it on me, but there's this really beautiful kind of like rainbow illustration of change, and the parts are the vision, the resources, the training, the support mechanisms. And I don't remember all of them, but when you don't have all of them, change is very difficult. So sometimes with your person, it's just thinking about, what is the life that they want. And I completely understand that it's a privilege to be able to have that thought pattern, but I think part of what helps us to get out of fear is to empower ourselves and to believe that we can have a different life. And I'm not saying that you can just magic your way into it, but I think if you think it can be done, you're more likely to see the opportunities that are out there. And so now I don't even remember why I was asking these other questions. I truly don't remember what my train of thought was on oh, it was getting connected. Okay, I remember now. Getting connected to people you want. And we pulled the Tower of Darkness card again. And again, this card is about training one specific type of Pokemon to get to the next level. So when you're thinking about the people that you want to bring into your life and get connected to, being very specific and clear about what does that relationship look like. If you're thinking about bringing on a business partner or somebody to help you in that in your career or in your education, a mentor, what does that person look like? I always think about Mary Poppins, and the children are writing what they want in a nanny. So when you're thinking about the people that you need to connect with, write down a list of the characteristics so it's really clear to you what this person looks like or is like, whether it be a romantic relationship or a business relationship. So then we think about the challenges, and we get the Leaf Energy Pokemon card. For those of you that can't see it, it's green. It has a glowing green sphere with a comet swoosh and a stylized leaf in there. So I think the challenges are maybe finding this person organically. So it is like forced, right? It's making these connections in a natural way that makes sense and nurtures the two of you. When I think about nature, I think about symbiosis, that there is a whole, I'm just learning about the wood wide network. There is a really strong relation between root structures and fungus, for example, that without that, trees couldn't survive. So the fungus break down the rocks and the earth that the trees can't do, and the trees through chlorophyll, they give the fungus the sugars that they can't get, and I think the carbon that they can't get on their own. So when you're thinking about making these connections, what will work in a symbiotic way that you're creating a win-win situation with this connection, because we don't want things to be transactional fully. Like if you're going to connect somebody, it's not just a means to an end, it's another human being, and it's understanding each other and your perspectives. So building something organic, which is sometimes a challenge because you can connect to people that aren't trying to help you or don't have your best interests at heart. And also you somebody unknowingly that could harm other people. We keep talking about, because we are still in Black History Month, when you're trying to learn something new, and some people think that Black people are their personal encyclopedias or Google, and you're trying to connect to somebody, but your connection can actually cause harm. So when you're thinking about what people you want to bring into your life, also really consider what do you bring to the table, and what are the possible harms or attitudes, harmful attitudes that you bring into connecting with somebody. If it's a romantic relationship and you have not worked on your traumas, you may bring that into the relationship and cause harm or be harmed because you haven't worked through those things. If it's a business relationship, you probably need to investigate the people that you're working with. Are they a good investment? Do they have a strong track record? Do they align with your values? That is something else that can be a challenge when you're trying to connect with other people in your life, even friends, right? Some friends don't have the same interests of you, or they're kind of overbearing. So what could help? And once again, we get the urn of vitality. This is an urn, a container, a glowing fire on the bottom. So when you're thinking about that, I always think about energy. You have a finite amount of energy, you have a finite amount of time. I don't know what happens after we die, but on earth things are very finite. Your body will break down after some time. You can extend that sometimes through diet and exercise, but there's also just genes, so we never know what's going to happen. So when you're thinking about these connections, find people or situations that will fill your cup, fill that metaphorical cup. You also have to learn it for yourself. But when you're interacting with other people, do these people inspire you or expire you? And I got that from Yinka. I don't know the source, but that's when you're thinking about connections. Do these people fill you up or do they tear you down? And that's something that when you're meeting people, pay attention to how they make you feel when you're done. Or if you want to be more empowered, not how they make you feel, but what do you notice about yourself and your energy levels after you have interacted with that person? Because you have a response to them. So, what is your response to these people when you meet them? Do you feel uh, a weird feeling in your stomach, like your gut is like something's just not right here? Or do you like, wow, that was so amazing. I'm so inspired. I'm ready to go to the next level. So that is something that can help you when you're trying to bring new people to your life. Again, whether it be romantic, business, mentorship, and so on and so forth. So then what's the way forward? Wow, once again, the Psychic Energy Pokemon card. This is a purple card with a purple glowing sphere and eyeball. And this is about trusting intuition and trusting your instincts. And I think that is not easy for everybody, especially if you have been burned in the past. So if that is a challenge for you, maybe your next set of questions is, how do I better trust my intuition? And what helps me is I've had a successful moment in the past. Like if I tell myself, "Oh, I'm so indecisive, I'm not good at making decisions," but I think about some of the major decisions I've made in the past, and I made them very quickly, and I just knew what I knew. It was everything worked out perfectly. I knew it because you've been on this earth for a while. And if you're paying attention and you observe, that's what intuition is. It is gut, gut decisions based on data that you've accumulated over the years. Now, if you make these decisions and you're noticing they're not coming out right, then perhaps you need to gather more data to build up your intuition. It's also a muscle. But generally, if I hesitate or pause or feel like, I'm not really sure about this, and I feel it deep within my gut, generally I regret that decision. I'll give you a simple example. I was taking my dad to an appointment, and I knew that the left lane is going to get backed up because of people turning. And I was all the way in the right lane, and I saw a gap, and something said, just get in the middle lane. So I got in the middle lane, and we were just sitting there. And I'm like, oh no, I chose poorly. But once the light changed, the middle lane took off, and all the people that had gotten over to the right lane, I passed them by. So that's a very tiny example of trusting your intuition. That's how you build a muscle. Little tiny things. Every day we're confronted with a decision. Every moment I'm doing this live stream, it's like, should I end it now? There's not many people here, but no, I'm like, I committed to doing 1 hour every day of Ask Me Anything. And again, if nobody shows up, I've been learning a lot about myself from doing this. And I also know that I have a lot of people that love me. Not a lot, but enough. And the people that matter that love and support me. So we still have about 7 minutes. So there's still plenty of time to ask questions. This is like a laser session, but I think it doesn't need to take hours and hours and hours for you to get clear and get to the heart of the matter. I'm a fan of succinctness. I'm a fan of brevity, but also somebody that if space is necessary, then that's important as well. So thank you all that have joined so far. If you're team replay, you can put your questions in the chat. I'll be live again tomorrow at 6 a.m. So the next two sessions are 6 a.m. in the morning. So that can help people across the pond. And we still have minutes. If you have any questions, I want to thank everybody so far that has joined. Thank you, Perkin. Thank you, Oliver. Thank you, Kristen. This has really been insightful to me. I'm understanding more of my process because I don't know the questions I'm going to get or what's going to happen. And it's already been, for me, just personally leveling up on the type of questions I ask. Instead of asking, what's the meaning of life? I'm asking, how do I create a life with more meaning? Instead of people asking, will I ever get a boyfriend or will I ever get a girlfriend or a partner? It's asking, how can I create a life that is more likely to connect me with the people that I want in my life? What are some different things? If we don't change, nothing's going to change. If we hang around the same environments, we're going to meet the same people. So that's something else to consider when you're thinking about connecting in new spaces. I generally accept every invitation I get because I'm very curious about people. And the times that, when we go back to intuition, the times that I've accepted a connection against my better judgment, sure enough, it's one of the creeper people that come into your slide into your DMs with inappropriate questions, people that waste your time. So for those of you watching Team Replay, I don't need Forex. I don't want to date you. Yes, I'm gorgeous. Yes, I'm confident, but no. So that is my PSA for creepers and lurkers. I don't care about Bitcoin and pitch slap me because you don't know a thing about me and I don't know a thing about you. So come with some real questions if you're going to come and meet people or make connections on LinkedIn or YouTube or Twitch or Instagram, whatever. But like, have an idea of what is your intention of connecting with that other. What is it that you're trying to accomplish? Because having a lot of followers doesn't mean that you have a lot of quality in your life. Likes don't pay the bills. So when you are going out there in the world, and we're talking about connection as a last topic, really think about, what are you trying to accomplish? As we talked about before, how can you create win-win situations with other people that are organic, that nurture both parties, that you're not just taking, or people aren't just taking from you. And there's a lot of things to consider out there. A lot of people, we are definitely in the VUCA world, volatile. I think the U is unstable or uncertain. I forget the C is chaos. Christian might actually know. But you can Google it. V like Victor, U like Uncle, C like Charlie, A like Alpha. And it's basically about chaos and instability and uncertainty. And I wish I had all the answers, but like I said before, asking better questions can help you get clear about what you want to do next. What is your next step? And sometimes it's like, if we just run away from a situation because we're not happy, you're going to run into the same situation because you haven't dealt with the reason that you're unhappy. You haven't addressed the root cause of what's happening. So change for change's sake is not going to create the change that you necessarily want. In my own career, I'm a recovering workaholic, and I was like, oh, I can't take this position anymore. I'm working all these late hours and so on and so forth. And I changed to a new position. And guess what? Within a few months, I'm working the crazy hours again. Why? Because I hadn't dealt with the root cause of setting boundaries, of recognizing I'm enough. When I was first hired, I was pregnant. So I felt like I really had to prove my worth as somebody that they took a chance on. And this another friend of mine, Keisha Jackson, she said, really powerful, stop applying for the job you already have. If you got the job, you belong there and you are bringing something to the table. So you don't have to keep proving yourself for proving yourself's sake. The only person that you need to be accountable to is yourself. And this may not be corporate friendly, but I really believe that. Every that I have worked, yeah, somebody else gives me a paycheck at this point, but I work for Stacy Casson and I work for the things that I believe in. And if I don't believe in it, then I'm probably not going to be there because we're not aligned. So that's something that you can consider as you go out the brave wide world today. Thank you all so much for joining. Again, if you're Team Replay, put that in the comments, ask your questions, and I will answer them in the next Ask Me Anything Live, which is tomorrow at 6 a.m. Eastern Time. The next two are 6 a.m. Eastern Time, Saturday and Sunday, and more dates will come as I log them in the system. So again, I have been Stacy Casson, your host. I really appreciate you all coming to the Ask Me Almost Anything Live, and have a fantastic day. Be well.